What's good, puckheads, and welcome back in to Pens and Pucks. I'm your host, Jordan, and as always, I'm joined by my other host, Nick. How you doing tonight, Nick?
Good, buddy. Another flag night here in good old the six. Another big win, right?
Beautiful stuff. Hey, I was having heart palpitations a little bit there in the third, bro. It
Yeah,
wasn't easy. It
yeah.
wasn't easy. Um, First of all, before we get into the post game, let's talk about give your thoughts on the 5-1 victory over this same Rangers team on the weekend.
Well, I think on Saturday it was a complete game from start to finish. We came out a little bit out of the gates, somewhat slow. Sorry, on Sunday, but we had that 3 goal outburst, and then it seemed like we took over the game, and the Penguins played on their toes, got into the forward checking, and took over the game. Gino played really well. I thought all 4 lines were going, and again, the Smith played well. He stopped the puck when he had to. A little different game tonight, but good 4 points over the last 2 games.
Yeah, and you know what was good when we were up 3-1? I was like, oh my god, we've outscored this team 8-2
Mm-hmm.
over 2 games. We look like what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Um, I know it was ugly. Especially it started off in the second there where they really came out hard on us. We talk about the game tonight. It got real sticky. And I agree with you. Jari played a great game, but that second goal, bro. The first goal I can, the one from the side there.
Yeah.
The first goal I can give because I think who to go off was that Marino's leg a little bit.
Well, Marino got on the score sheet twice because he scored both goals. He scored both goals. They went up Marino both of the goals, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the second shot, and that's one of the notes that I had put down with some of the shot blocking tonight is that they're sort of turning on the block,
Yeah.
and when you turn on the block, that's when you're getting into trouble with deflections. If you go straight up to the guy, knees together, shins together, normally that puck's gonna bounce in front of you instead of ricocheting to either right or left.
What did you think overall? First of all, that Bluger goal, that was a thing of beauty, bro. I mean, going hard to the net, it's squeaked in all
Yeah,
fairness. It's not like you beat him totally clean. And that again, Bluger and Tanev. But the other thing too is I know we talked about it at intermission. Man, Malkin's game has elevated a little bit with Kapanen on there, and Kapanen, man, that third goal was a freaking beauty, bro.
yeah. That was textbook Penguins hockey, playing below the dots, cycling the puck down low, making sure that everybody's involved in the play from the D to all the forwards. It was tic tac toe. Rangers couldn't touch that puck, and then with a nice toe drag by Cappy, and put it over the glove of Kincaid, which again that was Penguins hockey at its best.
Again, the Penguins, you know, brother, we got outshot 35-27. We lost in the face-off circle. They had 55% of the wins. We had 45%. And we lost the special teams battle as well. They converted on one of their 3 power plays. We went 0 for 1. And we got massively out hit. They had 58 hits to our 37. And another one. We had 8 giveaways. They only had 2.
Yeah.
Again, we second time in a week, I believe we're talking about a game where we get absolutely dominated on the box score, but and in the team stats, but we don't get dominated in the score that matters the most, right? The final score. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And brother, I
Yeah.
almost threw up when Jack Johnson scored on us, bro.
Yeah.
I was just like, obviously this clown scores on us, eh?
He almost got 2 tonight. One went over the crossbar just wide of the net. When you look at the shots, 35-27 tonight. Again, the second period, the third period was a disaster.
Ice was tilted, eh?
Yeah, I think the shots we finished it was 14-0 for the Rangers until Sid got that empty netter. So I believe
Yeah.
the shots finished either.
Was
Got to
it him
check.
or it was Rusty that hit the post? before that too, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I think my frustration of one of the forwards tonight is, in the last few games, is Brian Rust's capabilities to finish off beautiful plays by Sid and Jake. Again, he had a couple point blank opportunities tonight, and he couldn't bury it. It's frustrating for me. I always go back to Rusty should be on the third line, and
Yeah.
it's no knock against him. I just think he's a third line player. He could be great on that third line. Bring speed, and you know what, some offensive game, of course. But I do think that Jake and Sid need that finisher, that sniper on that line that can consistently put that puck in the net. That Gino's getting now with Kapanen, right? I think he's a fast man's Kessel. Let's call him that.
Kapanen. And a back checker.
Right.
A back checking Kessel, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we found the guy for Malkin, at least for the rest of the season?
I think for now, again, I think, you look at Gino's play the last 10 days, it's elevated. He seems to be a little bit more happy. He's definitely moving his feet. He looks more engaged in the play. Kapanen and him have some chemistry going. So it's good to see you. If you can have, again, we've talked about this for years, Jordan. I told you about this. If you can get two guys on each line to have that chemistry and that third wheel, like, you got a good set of four lines. So right now what you have is you have Jake and Sid, okay? Then you have, Gino and Cap, and then you have Bluger and Tanev. That fourth line, I don't know what you want to call that still, right? And then I just see a comment here from Nicholas with Jake's goal for sure. But again, that's Getzel. That's we depend on Jake to do those snipes, and it reminded me sort of that Nashville snipe back in the 2017 playoff when he came off that wing and he sniped it upstairs. It was a beauty goal. I'm not sure if you remember that one, but Jake's capabilities, again, we always talk about Jake. So you're right. Jake's goal was awesome.
What do you think about what have you thought about Dumo since he's returned to the lineup? I mean, he's the only player tonight he was a +3. What have you thought of Dumo's game since he returned?
I think it's excellent. I think he's a calming demeanor for Letang. He's a D that's going to stay home. Somebody that Letang can play with. Letang can do his offensive game, and he knows that Dumo's back there to support him. It looks like to me, Jordan, if I'm a betting man here, that you looked at Pettersson's tonight's his minutes were diminished a little bit.
Thank
he
God.
wasn't on the ice a lot. Yeah, thank God, right? And yeah, so again, I was listening to some of the Pittsburgh media today, and everybody's praising Dumo, and people are questioning Matheson as well as Pettersson. And a lot of talk right now in Pittsburgh is that because Hextall did not trade for Matheson, that's not his guy, so he could be trying to move that contract.
Oh, Lord help him! And if he can move, Pettersson the Pylon's contract too, good God Almighty! I'll stand up and clap for Ron Hextall on this platform. Obviously the star of tonight and the guy who's got my highest grade, Tristan Jarry, my friend. He absolutely stood on his head, especially in the third, in the final 3 minutes there. He made some big saves. Man, we've talked about it. When we started this show, he was a little rough, but then he started turning a corner. You know what I mean? When we started doing this show, he just started turning that corner. And, you look at him tonight, brother, 33 saves, 35 shots, a 943 save percentage. I mean, just what were your thoughts of Tristan Jarry tonight?
First off, before we get into Jarry, I just want to everybody viewing this show and Penguin fans is that when Pens and Pucks are on for post game, we haven't lost. So, maybe the Penguins want to listen to Pens and Pucks a little more because we got a winning record, right? So,
and hey, we're bringing that Stanley Cup record over to YouTube, right?
I mean, let's add another Stanley Cup behind me too. That would be nice, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of Tristan Jarry, I think it's a whole mindset of the team. If you notice that a lot of guys since Hextall and Berkey have come aboard.
You keep alluding to this, right?
I do. I'm a broken record with this.
Especially Tanger.
You look at Tanger. You look at Jarry. You look at Malkin. Like, you look at the core guys. we wanted, like myself, I'm wanting Tanger out of here. Gino was like, almost on a plane somewhere, and Jari, we were looking for a goalie.
Yeah.
Right, that was like our first episode. We were questioning all those players, and now today, when you look at a lot of the core, they're playing well. Jari stood on his head. If he didn't make those 2 key saves with like a minute left, a minute and a half left, we're going into overtime. Maybe we lose those 2 points, right? So, Jari's been great, and DeSmith played really well on Sunday as well. So maybe the shift here goes to, okay, let's look at continue to look at that bottom 6, and I really think, and I'm going to harp on this on every episode, is that we need to move that Bluger line to the 4th line, and we need to, if you could get a center, to center Rust and maybe a guy like Rodriguez, okay, you might have something there.
Or what about Zucker when he comes back?
Or Zucker, right, for sure. But I sort of tend to forget about Zucker because he was absolutely doing nothing for us, during the season, to be honest.
Thanks, Rutherford.
Right. He's a trade chip. Like, again, you could trade him his 5.5 out, and McCann comes back, it's only 2.5 or whatnot.
Buddy, you're lucky if you get a bag of pucks and some Gatorade bottles for that guy, bro.
But I might have a team that might, instead of a shift, and maybe looking at like the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're talking about a top 6 forward. They're looking. So I'm just saying.
You're going to sell them on that one, eh?
Well, I don't know. We're an hour away, so maybe we take a little drive down. Right?
Yeah. Oh my God! Do you have a little PowerPoint presentation of why he fits in the top 6? Hey?
A little pens and pucks presentation. Bring the laptop and the stool, and we'll just sit outside there.
Oh yeah. And our Penguin suits. We'll have our Penguin suits with logos all slapped all over it. Why not, brother?
Right. Why not?
Yeah. So I guess let's before we wrap up the Penguins and Rangers game.
Yeah.
Obviously I think we can both agree our first star would clearly be Tristan Jarry.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be your second and third star?
Well, looking at, I'd probably say it would be, I think Kapanen. I go back to Kapanen again, moving his feet.
I agree with that.
Moving his feet, getting in the areas, a couple really nice back checks as well. We talked about that offline. Like, Gino doesn't have to worry about that back check because Kapanen has so much speed. He's going to be there. When playing for the Leafs, he was playing on that third line checking role. So he knows how to keep pucks out of his own net, which is good. So Cappy for sure. And then I'd probably give it to Sid. I like Sid's game today. He was
back-to-back games. Brother, I haven't brought it up, and it's almost blasphemy. Buddy, how beautiful was that goal on the weekend against the Rangers when he split the defenders, bro?
That was
baby. I could watch that on replay over and over. That's the Sid we've been waiting for to come out of his little shell, right? Out of his little quarantine shell.
Pittsburgh automatically on Instagram, they put Lemieux's goal against the Islanders back in the 80s.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
The similarities, right? So yeah, it was great to see. Again, Sid needed that confidence. These guys, once they get going, you can see there's a trend happening now. There's a confidence about them, and when Pittsburgh has that swagger, they're hard to beat. They are really hard to beat. And not only, and this is something that, again, if you're not really a hockey follower or whatnot, or you're not into the details, the coaching staff gets a swagger too. It trickles down. It trickles down from the coaches to the players, even the trainers. They get that swagger where the Penguins, whatever arena we're going to go to, we're going to win. We're going to get those 2 points. And tonight when they came out hard. They were moving their feet. Compared to the first game against the Rangers, they came out and they were getting outshot. I think it was 7-9, 8-1. And they let up that first goal there.
You know what my issue is, though? It's the same issue with this core. We get little leads and they get complacent, bro.
Yeah.
When am I going to wake up and they're going to have that foot on throat mentality, choke them out?
The problem is that right now we don't have, like, even when you go to that third line with Bluger, Tanev, and Czar, to me, they're still not good enough shutdown guys, because Bluger has that offensive, same. All three guys do. They have that offensive flair. They're always thinking the score. We talked about this before. We still don't have a guy that we can say, okay, instead of putting Sid out, you go back to the days when we had Matty Cullen, Dad. It's a totally different story. Okay, Cully, you're going to take that face off. There's a minute left. We don't have that. Sid's got to do that now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right. And you know what, bro? I agree with all your stars. I have the same thing. So we don't even need to go. But Jari, man, I love to see this kid turn the corner because I know, just like you, I had high hopes for him after last year, right? And it's crazy how goalies keep getting run out of Pittsburgh by the next man up. So I'm not going to bank on Casey on DeSmith running the boy Jari out of town, but good God, you know what I mean? All right, so Alexander Ovechkin, he called Tom Wilson's 7-game suspension a joke, and we're gonna play a little clip here that you provided, just so everyone can see exactly what he said, and then I'm gonna give the floor to you because I know you said you want to go in on this guy, and you know I'm here for that. So that's a total mood. All right, so we'll play the first little minute of the clip. All right.
Sounds good.
Hi, Alex. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Tom Wilson's 7-game suspension and if you thought the hit was suspendable.
Well, first of all, no one wants to hurt player and make a dirty hit, but I think it's a kind of joke because we was talking to reps and after the first period, and he said like I don't think it was even like 2 minutes. It was a hard hit, and on the ice it was clear play. Yeah, like the player get hurt, like it sucks, but I think when you play hockey, I think you have to be ready for that, and you have to know like who's on the ice.
All right. So the floor is yours, my friend, and I'll take off right from where you go.
For sure. Okay, so number one thing with that comment there, he said that it was sort of somewhat of a joke, the suspension. So I think this is the real issue here. So this guy came into the league, back in 2006. Okay, he's been headhunting players himself since he came into the league, especially on the Penguins player Gino Malkin. Every game we played against him, he was actually targeting his head. Yeah. This guy is supposed to be one of the faces of the NHL, okay, which really pisses me off because you know what? He isn't a face of the NHL because he questions the NHL with suspensions. Now, if you disagree, all power to you, but don't come out to the media and say that because you know what? We have young players coming up in minor hockey, in junior hockey, in college hockey. They see this shit, they're going to come to the NHL and they're going to do that. Okay, one hit to the head can finish a hockey player's career. It's totally ridiculous. Eric Lindros, for example, his career was cut short because of hits to the head by Scott Stevens and other players. Okay, brutal, right? This guy has no respect for his fellow players in the NHL. They talk about the NHLPA, and I listened to a bunch of podcasts yesterday. Okay, so what really bothers me is that they're talking about the suspension. The NHLPA, all these media outlets. How about Brandon Carlo? How is Brandon Carlo? Is he going to be affected the rest of his career because of a fucking high hit?
Yeah,
brutal. Okay, so let's look at Alex Ovechkin's record.
It's because he's not a superstar. It's because he's not a superstar, Nick. That's right. Exactly why.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look at Mr. Alex Ovechkin, the poster boy. It was Sid and Alex. All right. Alex has been suspended 3 times. 2 of them, twice, he's been suspended for hits to the head. So, of course, he calls it a joke because you know what? Tom Wilson and the Caps are a joke. They preach that shit, and Laviolette is a preacher of dirty shit. We talked about it the other episode. So he's been suspended 3 times. He's been suspended for 8 games overall, okay? This dirty son of a bitch last week spared one of the Boston Bruins and got fined, I think it was $3,000 or $5,000. He spared him. Right in the nuts. Now, if that's any other player, if that's any other jabroni like you like to call him, he's getting suspended for that. But because it's Ovechkin, he's not getting suspended. Then let's go back to being poster boy Ovechkin, you piece of crap. Okay,
I love it.
Right? You piece of crap. You miss all-star games because you want to go on the beach, right? You don't want to represent the NHL. Meanwhile, Sid's hurt, and he would love to go represent the NHL. And he was hurt with a concussion, whatever he had. He went to the NHL All-Star game just to sign autographs, do press conferences. Meanwhile, this guy is drinking vodka on the beach. This guy, when you saw him win the Stanley Cup, swimming around in Vegas and this and that, I'm sorry. If I have, you know what? If I'm a parent and I want my son or daughter to look up to a hockey player, I'm not looking up to you because you know what? You're a piece of trash. And you constantly come out and you say shit like that. Enough's enough. I hope that when you play the Bruins, they come after you and Tom Wilson.
You know what's crazy? Everyone, and you know what I'm talking about here. Remember, there's a little period where, I mean, still a lot of fans, of other teams do. Everyone tried to paint us as the most hated organization, the classist organization. But last I checked, when we had our own version of Tom Wilson, Matt Cook, and he did stuff, our team publicly condemned what he did.
Right.
Our team did not go to bat when they knew he was in the wrong. Like, so how are we the classless, hated organization? You know what I mean? Well, this guy is able to do exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's an absolute joke, man. And what was that? 2008, 2009, where Gino was behind the net and Ovechkin threw his whole body at Evgeny's head and Gino ducked it. You remember that? And he went right into the board,
over,
bro. And ran right into the boards, bro. Yeah. He was clearly trying to take Gino out, not just lay a hit, take him out. There was intent to hurt.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It goes back Brandon Carlo. What? Just because he's not a star?
If that's Charlie McAvoy, it's a different conversation. I'll tell you that right now. Right. And also too, let's get back to Ovi this year. So he does a spare about a week ago. Right. Also, him and his boys from Russia get together in the hotel room, break COVID protocol. Okay. Break COVID protocol. He gets suspended. Again, this guy has disrespected to the NHL. He's not a poster boy of the NHL. He's not a guy that a kid should look up to. Yeah, he can score goals, but big deal, right? Big deal. And that's why I'm sort of happy that the last 2 seasons have been screwed up with a number of games because he ain't passing Gretzky. And you know what? You don't need
deserve it.
He doesn't deserve it. And you don't need a selfish SOB to take over Gretzky's record because Gretzky has class and this guy is a piece of trash. That's it.
And it's even more reason to cheer on a guy like Connor McDavid.
Right.
Yeah. Because you know what? I think he's got softer hands than Ovechkin. All right. I already told you how many of his goals come from that one pointer at the top of the circle. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Connor's special. And Connor conducts himself the way that Sid does. You know what I mean? He doesn't conduct himself like an absolute jabroni, bro. And you know what I mean? That's why, I know Sid's kind of fallen off in the point races and all that stuff. But, at least it's a guy like Connor winning it and not this freaking idiot. You know what I mean? And you know what? You know how I feel about Austin Matthews, all right? The guy looks like a freaking rapist with that mustache. But at least it ain't Ovechkin out here winning Rocket trophies, bro. That's all I care about, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I have a complete disdain for this guy. How long I've hated this guy for, bro. I never sipped the Kool-Aid that all these people sip. And you'd never either, really. You appreciated him as a goal scorer, but we never sipped the Kool-Aid because we saw what he would try to do against us, bro. Yeah. We've seen hey, has there not been instances of Tom Wilson in the playoffs headhunting against us, and they defended him, bro?
Right, and he gave Zara a concussion and broke his jaw.
Yeah.
Right? So, this guy continues again, you could go down the list on and on with him. But one thing that's different from the young superstars that are coming in the league, I think they've been trained properly, right? I don't think you'd see Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, any of these Connor McDavid, go out and say, I think it's a joke. They would never say that. It's not a joke. Brandon Carlo was in a vulnerable position. Okay. I was listening to Nick Kipros and Doug McLean on their podcast yesterday, and Kipper's sort of a old-fashioned type of hockey player, who's grind or whatnot, and his career got cut short because he got knocked out in a fight. So again, concussion protocol there, but they're saying it's boarding, charging, all of that, and even hit to the head, and he only gets 7 games. We were talking about double-digit suspension, and then when they said 7 games on the Saturday night, I was like, this is BS, man. I'm like, this guy is going to keep on doing what he's doing. Unless you set an example, it'll never change, right? So, it's Ovi's Ovi. And the thing that bothers me the most, and I'm sure it does with you and a lot of Penguins fans out there, that this guy got a Stanley Cup. Because you know what? That's the last thing I ever wanted this guy to get. He can have all the individual trophies or whatnot, right? But a Stanley Cup, man, and I just didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, but we can find solace in the fact that we knew it when he was partying, and we know it now. He ain't ever winning another one, bro.
Right. Yeah.
So, and you know what? Guess what? I don't credit Ovi. I credit Trotz. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, look what he's done with the Islanders. And with less talent, man. Let's be honest. If they didn't have Barry, I don't think they win. We saw they had almost the same exact core the year after. What they do, right?
Nothing.
So,
right. Yeah.
I gotta ask you before we get off this, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2 things.
Yeah.
One, is this more reason for us to look for a guy who, we already had him with Ryan Reeves. We moved off of him. Is this, that's why, I miss George LaRocque so much, bro, because this would not be going down, brother. Okay.
Yeah.
And is this more of a reason for a team like us, if we're going to make a playoff run, and we're going to have to face them probably, to try and acquire someone like that? And number 2, do you truly believe, honest opinion, that now teams are going to be out for blood with these guys?
Not first question. Yes, we need an enforcer. Pick him up, cheap salary. We talked about this. Even if he's not in the lineup every night, but he's in the lineup when you need him to be in the lineup. And I think it's going to be interesting when Boston and Washington play. The problem is that for some reason, again, Tom Wilson's a tough guy. He is a tough dude, right?
And he can score, and he's like a rare breed almost, right?
He is. Like, he's a guy that you'd love on his team. For me, I would love him on our team, but without the bullshit that he brings with the dirty shit, right? Because he crosses the line.
It wouldn't be able to fly here, bro, with Sid. He's a different kind of captain. That wouldn't be able to fly, bro.
It wouldn't be able to fly with Mario as well, running the organization. When Matt Cook did that too.
Yeah, they got started getting sick of him, right?
Yeah, they said, you know what, enough's enough. They shipped him out. So, you can play to the line, but don't play over the line, because once you do that, there's no turning back. And then, sorry, what's the second question in terms of, So
do you think teams are going to be out for blood now because of they got off and now you got Ovi running his mouth?
Well, I don't see a lot of teams that can play that style, because there's not a lot of teams that have those particular guys, right? But I do see when Boston plays them, I think it's going to get a little ugly.
It's going to get nasty. Right? I love it, baby.
Yeah.
I love it. And Nicholas suggested Austin Watson.
Yeah. Yeah. He was on our list when we talked about trades for the Penguins a couple weeks ago. Definitely Austin Watson's the guy. 1.5, 1.6. Bring him in. He's a young guy. He can throw knuckles. For sure. There's a couple of guys that, you might want to look at, and this is where you have to look at as a Penguins fan too. Yeah, you're going to be looking at guys in the NHL. There's some bruisers in there, right, that might be able to throw some knuckles and come up and just play when they're playing the Caps. He plays a couple minutes. He makes sure that he's policing the ice, and that's what you need. And the Penguins had that with George LaRocque, like you said. they had that with Ryan Reeves. Unfortunately, Sully wasn't a big fan of playing him, and he got traded. But I guarantee if we had Ryan Reeves, Wilson wouldn't be doing this to the Penguins when we play them.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're looking at the Norris Trophy race. We've already looked at the Calder, and we've looked at the Hart so far. When you look at this race in particular, me and you have the private conversation. It's basically a points race. I want you to get into your whole take of the offensive and defensive award, but a guy who I believe he's won it before, correct me if I'm wrong, Victor Hedman right now. I think he's won it before. He's currently leading. He got 24 points, 5 goals, 9 assists. He's a +9. Jeff Petrie, brother, 9 goals, 14 assists, but he's also a +15.
Yeah.
And an old familiar name is creeping up there too. A guy, who Drew Doughty, how much I love that guy. He's right in the race, as is Carlson. What are your thoughts on the race so far? Some names, like are you expecting a Morgan Riley or a Tyson Barrie, to make a run here? Are you expecting Thomas Chabot to make a run? What are you expecting with the Norris race? And also break down what we talked about privately in terms of where you're at, because you even have a name for what you'd call the other award. So break that down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So again, like you said, a lot of these awards are to the player that finished with the most points, goals, whatnot. When it comes to the Norris Trophy, what I would say with that trophy is it goes to the defenseman with the most points. But that being said, like we talked offline, I think there should be a new award for defensemen. So you should have an offensive award and you should have a defensive award. The offensive award should be called the Bobby Orr Award. I think that would be a great name because he was a legend. He changed the game for defensemen. He was a rushing defenseman, and he changed the game drastically for defensemen. If you want to call somebody like a defensive award, you could call it the Larry Robinson Award. He was a great defenseman. But there's probably plenty of those defensemen you could look at in terms of superstars. If you're looking at, the leader right now, if you look at the whole package, Hedman is the guy. The guy's just unreal. He gets better and better. He's a big body. He can shoot the puck. He does everything on the ice. He can pass well, break out well, PK. He's got a long stick, runs the power play, great leader. And you know what? That's a leader. You never hear anything from him. He just goes about his business. If he disagrees with something, you probably won't hear anything from him, right? He just goes about his business. If you look at Jeff Petrie, what a surprise. But you saw him in the playoffs against us in the bubble.
Yep.
Right? Like, again, he's been emerging. He's been getting confident, and he got that big deal this year, and he's playing really well. And he's actually a cornerstone on that power play with Shea Weber, right? He's a guy that sets up that one-timer, or he's got a pretty good shot as well. That's an interesting race. Quinn Hughes, he's your typical Bobby Orr.
-15 though.
But that's what I'm talking about. He's great offensively. He's a little bit of a train wreck. He's young. He's got to understand how to play in his own zone. But that's definitely. But okay, so going back to Quinn Hughes in -15. The reason why he's a -15, yes, Vancouver's been shit in the bed. They're starting to get better, but he's missing Tanev. Tanev was his defensive partner last year on the Canucks. He was the stay-home guy. So you know what? Let the horse go. I'll be back. Now he doesn't have that. So he's struggling because he gets caught. His partner's caught too.
Yeah.
So that's where he's struggling. John Carlson, steady. Okay. He's been steady for a number of years, runs the power play with Ovi. To me, I never put him in a top 5. What do you think, Jordan?
No.
Right.
No.
Yeah. So, he's one of those guys that gets a lot of points on the power play. Who wouldn't when, Ovi's just sitting on that right-hand circle, just doing one-timers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then your boy Doughty, I know you love him. He's having a comeback year. LA sort of they're up and down. They're playing better hockey now. He's in his 30s. He's got a huge contract. he's a competitor, man. He wants to win. So I don't know how long he's going to want to stay in LA. He's a guy that maybe, if you're competing for a Stanley Cup and you need that QB quarterback on the power play, he's a guy that I would definitely go after.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised? I know we've talked about him on the show before, but about the resurgence of Tyson Barrie this year?
No, I'm not surprised at all because again, he just didn't fit in the Leaf system. He's not a guy that's going to be behind Morgan Riley on the power play. He's a guy that needs to be on the first line power play. He needs to be the guy bringing up the puck, setting it up, running the umbrella, dishing it off to Draisaitl and McDavid. Whereas in Toronto, Morgan Riley does that, where he was on the second power play unit. It's a totally different game. When you're used to playing top minutes, you're the top D, running the power play. No, I'm not surprised at all. You saw him in Colorado, what he did. He was awesome, right?
Yeah. All right. So the Penguins' schedule in March. We already took 2 or 3 from the Flyers. We just took 2 in a row from the Rangers, which we said we had to do. Now we got 2 coming up in Buffalo, which we've already been on record as saying they need to take these as well. And then, we got back-to-back next week against the Boston Bruins. Then we got 3 in a row against the New Jersey Devils. 2 on the road, right? And then, 1 at home. Then we got another back-to-back, and they're back-to-back days against Buffalo. And then we finish out the month with 2 against the Islanders. So when you look at this month, let me ask you this. If you could sweep the Sabres twice, if you could sweep the Devils, are you okay with splitting 2 out of 4 between Boston and the Islanders? Obviously, we want to win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Realistically, here, we're not going to win every game.
Yeah, so I was doing a little homework tonight looking at all this stuff, and I was looking at those top 4 teams, top 5 teams in the East. And, breaking it down, we have 8 games left against Buffalo, 8 against New Jersey, 6 against Boston, 3 against Philly, 2 against the Rangers, 2 against the Isles, and 2 against Washington. Okay? So we have a possibility of, snapping, getting 16 points off Buffalo, 16 points off the Devils. Now, interesting thing with all this scheduling and looking at it, okay? If what I did was I took the 5 teams that are, top battling for those spots there, and I gave them 10 losses to the remaining games, okay? So if you look at the New York Islanders, for example, they have 31 games left to play, okay? If they lose 10 games out of those 31, they're going to end up with 76 points, okay? Washington, they have 32 games left. If they lose 10, they're gonna finish with 76 as well. Boston, if they lose 10 of their 34, they're gonna end up with 77. Okay. Philly, they lose 10 of their 34, they're gonna get 75. Okay. So looking at this schedule, it's exactly what you said, Jordan. Okay. You have to win the series. You have to win the 8 games against Buffalo. You have to win the 8 games against the Devils. You can maybe go 3-3 against the Bruins, okay? And you have to win the Philly series of 3 games. You have to win the Rangers series of 2. And if you split the Isles and Washington, you might have a chance. I'm betting here now, and you heard it first, Pens and Pucks, okay? To get into the playoffs, you're going to need 78 to 79 points.
Do you think we get there?
I'm nervous.
Don't listen to your heart.
No, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous.
When you laid that out, brother,
yeah,
I don't think so.
It sounds bad, right? Sounds bad. I went to the fridge after that, to be honest with you.
Because we're naive to think we're going to sweep even all the bad teams, bro.
Yeah, that's why tonight, before the show, I sat
26
down.
games that we got taken off matter, huh?
Right. Yeah. So, looking at March, we've started off well. We're trending in the right direction. Our home record is the best in the NHL. Okay, which is great. But
and I hate to cut you off. You said we got 6 remaining against the Bruins, right?
Yeah.
So we got 2 this month. We got them 4 times next month.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So But again, if you look at the upcoming schedule for this month, we have to beat Buffalo. We have to beat Jersey. We have to split in Boston. And the positive is that these Boston games are in Pittsburgh, right? Which we played Boston, I believe, both times in Boston so far, right? So there is a chance, but if you really look, on the outside, it's going to be a tough battle because unfortunately, the slow start to the season and some of the points we've missed, it might catch us in the ass in the end.
And Boston being added to our division this year when they're not normally in it.
Right.
That's going to be your push out factor.
Yeah. And if you look at
we literally need the wheels to fall off the Flyers or the Islanders.
Mm-hmm. If you look at what even happened tonight, like, for example, you had Buffalo up 4-1. And
yeah, we'll get into it when we get it around the NHL or whatever.
Yeah,
when we take our look.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but looking at the schedule, we're in tough. We're going to need Sid and the top 6 to be good. If I had a crystal ball right now, it's tight. It's really tight to get in.
Is this remaining schedule? Does this make this, especially in a 56-game season, one of the more important trade deadlines we've had in recent memory to get things right?
If I were to, I just have this gut feeling that we're not going to do much. I think what they're going to do is they're going to maybe try to fix a couple areas in that bottom 6, and then
what you heard about tell people what you heard about Malkin.
Yeah, so I posted it today on Pens and Pucks for everybody. Is that there was an article from Josh Yoy of The Athletic, okay? And, before Malkin was untouchable, he's no longer untouchable. There is some talk out there that he could be moved in the offseason, and Florida being one of the destinations because he does have a summer house there and his wife is from there. And I believe his wife and his son are still there right now during the hockey season. So that could be something that goes down. The way Gino's playing now, of course, but he's got to keep like this the remainder of the year to make me change my
value.
Yeah.
And to drop his value.
I think when it comes to the trade deadline overall, though, Jordan, I'm not sure that you're going to see a lot of stuff happen this year. I think you're going to see stuff that you're going to see the buyers. You're going to see the buyers, and you might see some sellers that, for example, a guy like Taylor Hall, right? Okay, Buffalo, you know what? You retain half of the salary. I'll give you a 3rd-round draft pick because you're not getting anything for him anyways. He's walking away, right?
Yeah.
Watch out for the Leafs on that one. I'm telling you, that's an interesting one. And for the Penguins, I don't see anything big. There is one name floating around. It came out tonight. A bunch of sources. Eric Stahl of the Buffalo Sabres, another guy that's on a UFA contract, $3.5 million, I believe he's at. Get Buffalo to retain half of it. Get him in there. There's your 3rd-line center. Blueger goes to the 4th line. I would love that, right?
Yeah. All right, so we take a look around the NHL. You were alluding to the Sabres blowing a 3-goal lead. They ended up losing 5-4 in a shootout.
Yeah.
We had no favors done for us. The Capitals beat the Devils in overtime. The Islanders, they beat the Bruins in a shootout.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks and the Stars are still going right now. The Winnipeg Jets beat the Leafs 4-3. The Lightning, even with horns going off and killing their power plays, they ended up winning in overtime 4-3. Carolina, they won in overtime. A lot of overtime games tonight. They beat Nashville 3-2 in overtime. And the Panthers, the Florida team that could be a Genny Malkin destination, they won yet again, winning 4-2 over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's talk about the Maple Leafs right now.
Yeah.
So the Maple Leafs, give me your thoughts on the recent play, brother.
Again, they were so hot the last 10 days before they went into Vancouver, and then they lost. Now they've lost 3 in a row. Lost 2 to Vancouver, lost 1 to Winnipeg. Here, it's ups and downs of the season. My biggest question mark is in goal for the Leafs. Freddie Anderson, to me, you can't rely on him to win a Stanley Cup. I don't see him being the goalie that can do that. Joe Thornton, he's old. He's, how long can he go? I think you got to look at load management with that guy. Do I think the Leafs are a contender for sure? Do I think that they're we've been saying about the Leafs? It's going to be the Leafs in Winnipeg. That's my thought. But again, it's those peaks and flows in the season. This is expected. We see it with every team. Austin Matthews got back on the score sheet today with a goal. I think he scored 2 tonight, so he was held scoreless for the last couple of games since he came back from that wrist injury. That's a concern too. That could be a nagging issue. So I think but again, it's peaks and valleys in a season. I'm not really too worried that if I'm a Leaf fan, that this is going to continue. It's sort of expected.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned he got back on the score sheet tonight. But Connor McDavid, my friend, even Patrick Kane was closing in, and Connor's widened that gap, my friend.
Yeah.
He is just running away right now. And what's crazy is when you look at what Edmonton's done so far, I don't know, man. The crazy thing to me is, when you look at, the guy, you played 27 games and the guy has 45 points right now. Like, good God almighty, who's keeping up with that right now at the rate he's going at?
Nobody's going to touch him unless he gets hurt. Like, it's the scoring race is over. McDavid will win it. The Rocket Richard Trophy right now, going into tonight. Just bringing it up now for everybody here right now.
Yeah, he's only 3 behind Austin, right? Austin has 18. He's got 15. He's tied with Tyler Toffoli. Brindacat is 4th with 14. Yeah. Kreider's tied with Logan Couture with 13 each. But here's the thing. He's 2nd in goals scored, but he's also number 1 in assists, right? So you're getting a nice balance from him this season. It's not a lopsided. And he's also number 1 in the league in power play points right now.
Yeah, that power play is deadly. They get a lot of points there. Draisaitl and McDavid. Austin has 20. Did you say he has 20?
20 what?
Yeah, 20 goals. Austin Matthews. Yeah, he's 20 now. Just updated.
Oh, did he get 2? Did he get 2?
Yeah, he got 2. Yeah, so he's at 20 now. And then you have Connor McDavid at 15. I think it's going to be a battle between McDavid and Austin Matthews for the Rocket, right? But
do you think Connor's going to win that?
I think now it depends on Matthews' wrist injury. Does that keep him out of the lineup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think McDavid's going to run away with the points. It's going to be a battle between McDavid. Toffoli's going to cool down. He's cooled down. DeBrincat, he'll get his goals, but I can't see if Matthews stays healthy. He's already had a great season for 56 games, right?
Like, it's crazy.
To me, 30 goals this year would be like a 50-goal season, right?
Yeah.
And he's 10 goals away already. Again, the mustache bothers me, but he's really impressed me the last couple of years. I wasn't a big Matthews fan when he came in the league, but he's changing his game and he's becoming a leader. It's good.
Well, and they clearly made the right pick over him and Line, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because remember, there was a lot of, even if they made the right pick, they got a lot of pushback, right? Just because, a lot of people thought it was so close with those two coming out.
Let me ask you a question about Jack Eichel. Again, I've been posting a lot of different stuff on Pens and Pucks about him. What are your thoughts on Eichel? What do you see him a Sabre next season?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, agree. First of all, who wants to live in Buffalo, let alone play there?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's the old Marshawn Lynch. Remember when Marshawn Lynch left Buffalo?
Yeah.
He said there's nothing to do in Buffalo. Like, you know what I mean? It's that old, brother, we've gone and seen it. It's a dumpster out there. Okay. And, it's one thing if you're winning, but I mean, what's the bigger armpit? New Jersey or Buffalo? It's pretty close.
Yeah. I just, what?
That team's getting blown. That team's getting blown up.
Yeah, it's getting blown up again. I just can't understand why they're playing that way. But if I see Eichel in a Rangers jersey next year.
From one dumpster fire to another.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah.
These freaking American boys, eh? Come on down to Pittsburgh, okay? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey, that's how we get it, Gino, eh?
Yeah.
Send him to Buffalo, baby. Florida? Oh, you want to go to Florida?
Yeah.
What do you think about the sunny side of Buffalo, New York?
Mm-hmm. You know, the one division that I'm looking forward to the most come playoff time, because they've been so competitive and they've been so bang on since the beginning of the season, is the Central. You have Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Florida just battling it out night after night, night after night.
I love Carolina, man.
Yeah, they're just. I think I think the separation between all those three teams will be Vasilevsky for Tampa. I think they have the edge in that. I think that's going to be a big thing. And also, too, they have the biggest trade deadline acquisition coming back for them in the playoffs, which is Kucherov for Tampa. He's not even playing, and they're in first place. So that is definitely that's definitely huge for Tampa to come back. But for what Patrick Kane's doing, and it's his 1,000 games tonight in the NHL to Patty Kane. It's too bad they're getting their asses whooped tonight, but yeah, it's he's been awesome without Jonathan Taves and taking those young guys. So that's been a good story too. To even be in fourth spot right now is kudos to him. Let's just look at the other standings here there, just to go over quickly.
Oh, you're talking about the league standings?
Yeah.
You should have told me. I had it right up.
Right up?
Yeah, I have it up. Okay, so what division are you looking at? What division you want to talk about right now? You got the Central. You got the Central, right? Tampa, they got 36. Florida's got 36. The Hurricanes got 35. Blackhawks have 31. Columbus is sitting at 25. Nashville's at 22 points. Dallas is at 19. Detroit's at 17. Obviously, the East Division, the Islanders are leading, 34. Washington has 32. Pittsburgh's in 3. In third after tonight, we got 31. Boston has 29. The Flyers have 27, but obviously we have 3 games in hand on the Boston and the Flyers right now, so that matters. The Leafs obviously 38 points. Winnipeg's 33. The Oilers have 32, and the Canadiens have 29, 3 ahead of the Canucks, who have 26. The Flames have 25, and the Senators are at 19. And then obviously the West Division, it's really tight at the top. The Golden Knights have 33. The Blues have 32. The Wild have 29. The Avalanche, who I think a lot of us expected way more from, are sitting at 28. The Coyotes are at 27. They're right there. The Kings are at 26. The Ducks are at 22. The Sharks are at 21 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one team in that West Division, Jordan, that's really impressing me is the Minnesota Wild. They're trending on the right. Dean Evason has his team playing the right way. Kaprizov just looks the guy's unreal, man. He's just lighting it up. So look out for that team. Team that's sort of struggling right now is Colorado, which I'm surprised. Arizona's 1 point behind them. But if you look at going back to our team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, you go back to that division. I would be chasing, as crazy as this sounds, you have to be chasing top spot right now. You have to be chasing the New York Islanders. We're 3 points away. We have the same amount of games played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't settle for fourth. Don't settle for third, because that's going to be tough. You got to go right to the Islanders. You got to challenge that spot, get the number 1 seed, and go forward, because we're playing well. But that's got to be the goal. If you're going to think that you're going to get in and slide in there at third and fourth with what we talked about with the schedule and the points, you're going to be in trouble.
And I apologize. We have 2 games in hand for both of those guys, off Boston and Philly right now. Yeah, and the Islanders have played 1 more game than us, right? The key thing here for right now is where we're at, and we got to keep it up, especially going on with the Sabres right now.
Yeah.
Boston in their last 10 is 3-5-2. Philadelphia in their last 10, they're 5-4-1. We're 7-3. Washington 7-2-1, and the Islanders are 8-1-1. So we got to keep pace with the guys in front of us right now, like you said. And then I know you mentioned Minnesota. Just like us, they're 7-2-1 in their last 10, right? Vegas is 7-3, but everyone else is like 5-3-2, 5-4-1. There's a lot of parity going on. And then you go to the North Division, Toronto, they're 6-4 in their last 10, right? Winnipeg and Edmonton, 7-3. And then Tampa Bay, we remember when we started, Florida was sitting pretty at the top of that division, and Tampa's gone 8-1-1. Carolina's gone 7-3, and Florida's gone 5-3-2 in their last 10. And what's crazy about Carolina is they've won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
That is very, very impressive right now for them. Sorry. And it's just like the Islanders. The Islanders have won 6 in a row. So it's going to be a battle, brother.
Yeah, and you know what? It's going to come down to
we're in the toughest division. When you look at the top 5 in our division compared to everyone else's top 5, we're the toughest right now, I think.
But we all knew this coming into the season. Everybody was talking about the North Division, but really there's only like 2 teams.
Come on.
Right?
Give me a break.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but our division is the toughest. You have, 5 top dogs. They're just, biting at the 4th spot. But it's going to come down to staying healthy. It's going to come down to, everybody uses this load management, whatnot. But this is where, Jordan, when you look at the Penguins, is that you need to sort of, if you're up like we were tonight against the Rangers, like a guy like Malkin and Sid, Jake, they don't need to play these top minutes. So Tang, right? But again, if you're not playing full 60 minutes, what happens is these guys have to go out there again and again and again, just like Sid had to go out there and score the empty netter because, Sully looked
Russ couldn't finish it off, this guy.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'm not even talking about the post. He couldn't finish off with the open net.
Right, yeah. So, but this is where if you look at a team like, like Tampa, from 1 to 4 in terms of their lines, they're capable of doing that. They got a 3rd line center in Anthony Cirelli. That would be a 2nd line center on any
team.
Yeah.
Tampa, we're a +4 differential.
Yeah.
Tampa's a +36.
Right. This is the stuff, like, again, a lot of Penguins fans in Pittsburgh or whatnot, they look at the wins and they look at this stuff or whatnot, and they sort of they don't look at the whole picture here, right? And this is why they fall in love with their players, and they, but you got to look at what's happening around the league. Like who's trending? Who, like, again, we were minus for probably the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks of the season here, right? And then finally now we're in the plus side, okay, because things are starting to trend in the right direction. But overall, when you look at some of these teams out there, the way they're playing, it's impressive, right? And like I said, they're missing Kucherov, like their best offensive player, and they're doing this. And to me, if you're looking at the Islanders, it's all about Trotz, and I really think we are better than the Flyers overall. I really do, from goaltending to our D.
You're not a Hart fan?
He needs time to settle in. Like, everybody was comparing him to Carey Price, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's that level or even close to that level yet. Let me ask you, why 2 games, or sorry, why the 3rd game, the rubber match on Saturday when we beat the Flyers, is Elliott starting?
Yeah.
I don't get that. Like, that's, so I'm not a big believer.
That's Carey. He's playing all 3 games.
Yeah. These series, when you're playing more than 2 games, they're so crucial. You got to win 2 out of the 3 games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a battle, and it's going to be tight for sure.
Agreed. All right, brother, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
No, again, we just talked about it. We got to sweep the next series against Buffalo. We got to split against Boston. We got to take the Devils. They got to continue playing the way they are. Hopefully, McCann can come in the lineup. Not sure the Zucker, what's up with him, if he's coming back soon. I think he's probably about 3 weeks away from that. The deadline's approaching. We're probably about a month away here. So we'll see what Berkey and Hextall do. I really like watching the Penguins again. It was fun watching them tonight. It was fun watching them over the weekend. It's good to see. And all the puckheads out there, go Pens.
Yep. And guys, we will be back again this week with yet another podcast, and we'll talk about it, but we're probably going to be back this week with another little film analysis for you guys too. All right. So until next time, guys, we will see you right back here, you puckheads. Hope you guys have a good night.